people look at me as successful. I graduated from college. I taught school for 17 years. I've been married to the same woman for 30 years. I have a family. I've had a business. I'm a builder and developer. I've built and developed over $50 million worth of real estate in Southern California. But I never felt like I was successful until I was 48 years old, when I started learning how to read and write and spell my native language, English. I accomplished many, many things, you know, and when I hear people say that I was successful, I never, ever felt that successful. And when people ask me, why couldn't you learn to read? What happened to you? And I have to tell them the story about what's happening to millions of children and millions of people in America. About 25% of the population learns to read like birds learn to fly. And it's like walking and talking. It's normal and natural. They forget. It's like being potty trained. I mean, do we remember that experience? Our parents might remember it, but we don't remember it. We just get it. And 50% of the population learns to read when they're in the 2nd to 5th grade. Their parents have an influence, their families have influence, brothers, sisters, and they just get it. And there's about 25% of the population that have difficulty with processing language. When I share my story, I talk about the little boy that went to school when he was 6 years old, and for 6 years of his life, his mother and father told him he was a winner. There was no drugs or alcohol in my family. I did my chores. I did what my parents asked me to do. I went to school in good faith to learn the ABCs and to read and write and the timetables, as most children do. We are innocent, and we go there. And I ended up in the dumb row in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. I don't know how I got in the dumb row. I was placed there because obviously now, in retrospect, the deficiencies in basic skills. I couldn't, and I didn't learn the alphabet until I was in the 5th and 6th grade. So it is a traumatic experience to be an illiterate in America now. As I've learned to read and I sort of go back and heal the emotional healing, have some subpersonalities that I identified and spoke to and named, not like Three Faces of Eve or multi-personalities, just for the purpose of communication. And this is part of what I share with teachers when I share my story with them. There's a little boy inside of me that sat in those dumb rows, and he is named Johnny the Innocent. And when I asked him if I should go share our experience, he said, and I can call him up. All I have to do is talk about him. And the pain of being labeled dumb or inadequate can still come up. And I'm 57 years old, and I can think about him. And as I said, I had these conversations, and I said, what do you think? Should I share the story? And in his innocence, he said, by all means, go tell the big people. If they know, they'll fix it.
Can you imagine how difficult it was to learn how to read when your brain is fighting you every step of the way and everything doesn't make sense? And how difficult it was for him to finally admit that he couldn't read? After being a school teacher for 17 years, after graduating from college, he would find out what tests there were that always used multiple choice tests, and he would just go in and take his best guess. It had to be 1, 2, or 3, or A, B, or C. He had his secretary read him his mail. He said, my eyes are tired, just read me my mail. And he bluffed his way through, and he told his wife, I can't read. And she thought he meant that he didn't like to read or he had difficulty reading, not that he couldn't read. And after he learned to read, he said the greatest reward was that he went into his bedroom and he took out of his bedroom closet up above where the suits hang down a box. And in that box were all the love letters his wife had written him over the years. And this was the first time he was ever able to read them. Amazing man.